Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today's video is just going to be me resurfacing these 5 games over here. Each game is in various different condition. So we will have games where we have to go all the way from course to finish. And some games we may be able to start with just a soft sand, which is like 1200 grit. The course is more aligned with 600 grit. And there might even be games we might be able to do our light buffing pad, which this Bayer pad is considered a polishing pad. You can see it, right here, a foam polishing pad. But it does have a slight cut to it, so I like to use it for my buffing pad. And this pad right here is a foam finishing pad. But this is the softest pad they have, which is for like a very good clean polish. And this is actually one of my favorite pads to polish out discs with. I was using the Meguiar's for a while. I just like that it's actually these 2 pads right here. This is the finishing pad for Meguiar's, and this red one back here, you probably can see over here, is the cutting pad I was using. They did great, but I still do prefer the Bayer over them. These are really the best pads I've used so far. So yeah, with that being said, just wanted to let you guys know like what this was going to be about. You can kind of see my process, like my thoughts behind each disc I see and why I do what I do with it, like why I choose, whether I'm going to sand or whether I'm just going to buff and polish, or maybe even just polish out the damage. We're going to be using the 3D products today. Just got these in. You got the cutting compound here and the finishing polish over here. One thing I will say is that one, these do a great job. But two, these are actually two different steps in 2 different products. I thought that this was step 1 and step 2 of the same, but it's really not. This Alpha Ceramic Alumina, or ACA 520, this is step 2, but they actually have an ACA, I forgot what number it is, but it's the actual step 1 of like this line of product. And this is the cutting compound for this AAT, or adaptive abrasive technology. This is the step 1 of their 2-step process for this line of products. And somehow I didn't realize that, and I got step 1 and step 2 of 2 different lines of product, both made by 3D, but just, uh, I guess, different. But I haven't had any issues using it that way. Just thought I'd point that out in case anybody out there is familiar with their products and realize it. I didn't realize it till basically I started using it, but they have been doing great, so it doesn't really matter to me. But next time I have to refill these or basically buy more, I will make sure to get the same step for the same line of product. This right here is just our water. I'm going to use this with our sanding. We're also going to use this just to help prime the pads. But other than that, we may not need too much water. You'll notice I do like to spray the discs now. Uh, just feel like that helps dissipate some of the heat. And you also notice that as we are going through multiple discs during this video, I'll be kind of checking this pad right here, or this backing plate, just to make sure that when we get to the next disc, that it's not holding a bunch of heat from the prior disc, because that can like start the damage process on a disc. Even though these discs do withstand a lot of heat, but sometimes if you're already starting from a high temperature on the backing plate, as soon as you put a new disc on, it only kind of exacerbates the process, I guess. But yeah, and this is just our little laser media cleaner here you've seen me use in other videos. Basically, this just helps lift up any like residual compound that might be left over after we finish polishing out the disc at the end. You can spray it on there, let it sit for like 15-20 seconds. I'll wipe it off with this soft towel here, and then finish it up with this microfiber cloth here. This one's microfiber as well, but it's just more of a softer one. So I like to use this one for the final wipe down, because this one does tend to leave a little bit of lint behind, even though it's supposed to be microfiber, I guess because it's so soft. But yeah, so long-winded intro. Let's go ahead and we'll start with game number 1. Which game number 1 is Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, the Greatest Hits Edition. This game, you can see, comes with the manual and everything. This was actually one of my favorite racing games like ever. I used to play this game for a ridiculously long time. See if I can get you guys a good angle. Okay, so you can kind of see here, definitely has some scratches in it. This is one that you might be able to get away with a buff and a polish, but honestly, it may not come through on this video as well, but some of these scratches look like they are a little rough. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start with the soft sand here, which is our 1200 grit. We're going to work our way from soft to the buff and then finish out on a polish for this one. So we'll just set the case here, put our game up here. We'll grab this, and just for I guess the speed of time, I'm not going to use my little cloth thing I usually use here. But as long as you don't tighten this down too much, you can actually get away with it. And yeah, okay, so there we go. Let me put that in there. We'll start with that. And since this is the sand, we will spray the pad a little bit with our water bottle. You don't have to overspray or anything, but you just want to give it a little bit just so that the heat doesn't build up much. I'm going to put this down, and we're actually going to do this for 20 seconds. Now, if you were using the 600 grit or the coarse over here, I would always suggest you do only 10-second intervals on this, because this 600 grit can cut pretty quickly, and you don't want to leave it on there for longer than 10 seconds at a time. The 1200 or the soft one, you can get away with 20-second intervals if you want to go that route, or you can do 10 seconds at a time to be safe. But this one I think will be fine with 20 seconds, especially with the water. All right, so that was 20 seconds. And we'll take our sanding pad out of there. We want to take the disc off. Every time you sand, you want to wipe off the residue each time. Make sure you use a cloth that's not one of those two over there, because when you sand, you are literally going to be taking like stuff off of the disc itself. So any residuals, you kind of don't want that just sitting on the disc if possible. But we'll set that over here. You can kind of see the condition of the disc after that sand. Definitely a bunch of like swirls, but that's par for the course. That's what it's supposed to look like after that. But what you can notice is that it took out a lot of those like deeper scratches we were seeing. So now we're going to jump into the polish, into the buff and then the polish, and that's going to clear all of this up. So let's put our disc back on there. And we'll grab our yellow pad here. And this is the first time I'm actually going to be using this pad, I believe today. So I'm going to spray it with a little bit of water. That. Give our disc a little bit of water. And we're going to come in with our cutting compound, or our AAT 510 right here. I love these ones because not only is the product good, but they have these little like these tops here on them. It makes it so easy to apply the stuff. And there we go. I just put like about a quarter size amount right at the 3 o'clock position. So if you're wondering where I'm putting the product, that's about how I do it. Matter of fact, I will pick it up really quick. Basically, that's what I do, so that about right here, this area, when you close the lid down, it's going to make contact right in here. So basically, that's my strategy behind it. But yeah, so I'm going to put this down, and we're going to let this go for 1 minute. All right, minute's up. Let's go ahead and pop that off. Take that out of there. All right, getting a little warm, but not too bad. Let's see that on there. She's starting to come around. Still a lot of residual of the product left over, but between the buffing and the polishing stage, you actually don't have to wipe off this residue. It doesn't really matter. So I normally just leave it on there. Thought I'd just share that. You don't have to wipe it down between that. Oh no, between those two stages. But I do recommend you wipe it down between any sanding stages that you do. So we'll take this pad out. We'll come in with our final pad, which is our white foam finishing pad by Bayer. And we'll grab our ACA 520 over here. Same amount, same spot as we did on the last pad. Grab our water. Couple spritz right there. Bring it down, close it, and we will go for 1 more minute. It's done. Flip that off. I should have been flipping that off each time, but it's like a little safety thing you should be doing. As you can see, I always, uh, sometimes I forget to do it. But now we are actually going to spray this laser media stuff on here. Let that sit for a second. Just kind of let it do its thing. They say if you let it sit on there, like it helps lift it off. I don't know how true that is, but I give it a little bit of time. Then I'll just come wipe it off with this and give her one more go. Just to kind of, I try to get all of the actual like dampness off, and then I come in with the other Microsoft fiber towel and kind of just finish it off. Now what you want to make sure you're doing is you want to make sure you're kind of wiping in straight lines. You don't want to do a circular motion. You just want to wipe in straight lines. So you can see, because I didn't use my pad, you can see that it left a little ring in the middle of it. Now there's nothing in there for it to read, but it's just always going to leave that if you don't use the pad or the little cloth technique that I do. I'll do that on the next disc so you guys can see the difference, that it doesn't leave that damage. But you can see afterwards that, yeah, I mean, compared to what it was, I would definitely feel safe to say that this is like basically almost an immaculate disc. Maybe somewhere on there you might see some. I actually can't find any damage, to be honest. I think it actually came out basically perfect. So yeah, first game, and just so you know, it is the same game. Gran Turismo 3A spec. We can put this one back in. Pretty much chalk this up as a saved game. But yeah, you can get really great results out of this machine. Again, it just kind of takes a little bit of time to learn some tricks of the trade, which, as I said, for like machines like the Elm Eco Pro, you really don't have to worry about. But this one can sand all the way to polish, so you can bring back games that the Elm Eco Pro 2 can't. But our second game up here is Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Another great game. Another complete in, what is that? Complete in box, whatever it's called. Or CIB. But we'll send that out of here. You can see that this one does have some like light. Let me see if I can catch it. You can see it has like some light scratching in there. Nothing too crazy. It has like more kind of like smudging than anything. But it does have like a little bit of light damage. This is something, again, you could soft sand if you want it. But I'm actually going to try my hand at doing just a buff and a polish with this one. I think we might be able to get away with it. If not, we could always follow up with a soft sand and bring it around like we did the first disc. So let's go ahead. First thing I'm going to do is set this up here. I want to take off this pad. Bring our buffing pad back in. Put that down. Now we will actually use my little piece for this one, which is nothing more than the same microfiber towel I use. I just cut a hole in it to put it over this little stub, and it just stops that plastic, this little black retaining nut, from leaving a ring in the disc. You would think JFJ would like make a retaining nut with just like a rubber or just some type of like cloth on the bottom of it. I feel like that would be extremely simple to do, but they don't do that, so I don't know why. But anyway, we take our water, give the disc about 2 sprays or so. Bring in our buffing compound or cutting compound. Same thing, about a quarter size at 3 o'clock. Put this down, flip her on. We'll give it a minute. All right, 1 minute's up. Take that back. Take that pad off. Put our finishing pad back on. There we go. Bring in our finishing polish. Again, about a quarter size amount at 3 o'clock. Bring in our water. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll let it go for another minute. Again, you don't have to wipe off between the buff and polish stage if you don't want to. All right, and that minute's up for our polish. We'll take that off. Take off our little cloth piece. That off. First thing you'll see is you'll be like, oh, there is a ring still there. That's product. The only downside of that little cloth is that you will always get a product ring there, but that wipes right off, so it doesn't leave any damage. It's just product likes to collect right there. So we spray it with our CD DVD cleaning fluid. Sit for a quick couple seconds. We'll take our cloth again. We'll just wipe that off. Try to find a drier spot on there. Again, we'll just try to get that off as much as possible. Then we'll get our actual microfiber here. Same thing. Just want to wipe in straight lines as much as possible from the center out. Okay. So make sure I get, because sometimes it may look like damage, but what actually happened is you just didn't like wipe off a spot of it. So that's something to look out for. But yeah, so first thing you can see is that we don't have that ring in the middle. So that little cloth does a great job at stopping that. Second thing, obviously, we're going to look for is damage. So you can see that, oh, you can see me there. Hello, friends. Oh, Bob Ross moment. But yeah, you can see that this came out really good. So we actually got away with just a buff and a polish right there. And we can put Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal back in its case. That one can go and wait for somebody to purchase it. There we go. All right, next game up is GoldenEye Rogue Agent. All of these are going to be PS2 games because it's going to make the testing at the end so much easier because it's just one console. Let me take this out of here. We'll set our GoldenEye over here. You can see this one here. This has like that. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of like a residue I see on these discs sometimes. I don't really know what it's from. I don't know if they like spilt a little stuff on it. I'm not really sure. This disc is very similar to the last disc. You'll see like scratches like right there. Like that's a long, good one. Sometimes those ones do come out in the buff and sometimes they don't. So if you ever do the buff and the polish, you don't get it. Remember, you can always start the process over again and start at the soft sand and see what you get. This one, I do think we should be able to get great results doing the buff and the polish again like we did on the last disc. Again, if not, we can jump into the sand and then we definitely be able to bring it around. So again, we're going to start with our yellow pad. So we'll remove our white pad here and bring our yellow pad back on. Grab our little piece right here so we can protect the middle of the disc. All right. Spray the top. Grab our cutting compound, quarter size amount at about 3 o'clock. Close it down. 1 minute. All right, minute's up. Lift that up. Let's see here. All right, not too bad. If you guys don't want to do the forearm test, obviously I got to do that because of the gloves. You can also get like a digital thermostat or whatever, like one of those ones that you shoot out the little laser or whatever to see the temperature and stuff. You can actually just check the temperature of the disc in between cycles. Just to make sure it's within the safe operating range for CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays. They actually do, like I said, they're very resistant. We're going to spread out water again. They're actually very resistant, so you'd be surprised how much heat these things can take before they start to get damaged. But again, quarter size amount of our finishing polish on our white pad. Do it for a minute. All right, 1 minute is up. take our disc out. Cloth down. Take this out. Spray it with our little cleaner here. Give it its few seconds to loosen up, as the instructions say. And we'll try to wipe that off as dry as possible. Then we'll bring in our other microfiber here and just try to finish it up. Again, the goal is always for these type of things. I mean, obviously you are shooting for, you want it to look brand new. Now, let's all be honest. That's, that is the main goal. But you do have to realize, like, getting these things within 90 to 95% of what they are is still amazing. So don't, like, kind of poo-poo yourself if you're not getting, like, oh my gosh, you just, pull this brand new out of the case type results. As long as it's within 90 to 95% of what a new disc is, that is actually considered refurbished. So, again, you can see here. Yep, this one turned out really good. I could easily, strongly say that this is 95. I mean, obviously, this looks like a brand new disc. That's we're not going to kid ourselves. I don't really see any damage on this disc anymore from what it was. Again, so we can put GoldenEye Rogue Agent back in its case. So far, we've been getting pretty good results. Disc number 4 is Oni for the PS2, of course, made by Rockstar. And set our case over here. You know what? I'm gonna set my case back here. This game. Okay, I was just making sure. I thought the center was cracked for a minute, but I don't think it is. You can see this game is definitely scratched up, really bad. Now this is a game that I would not recommend doing just a buff and a polish. Now, could you get away with it? Probably so. But this game does have a lot of scratching on it. And it's probably something to just first attack with a soft sand or the 1200 grit. And then work through a buff and then a polish. The good thing about starting with the sanding is that when you soft sand it, you can kind of see where it's at. Like, yes, you remember it's going to leave a lot of like swirls and everything in it. But you can see that those scratches were removed. Because those swirls will buff out. It'll buff and polish out perfectly fine. So we're going to start this game. We're going to start with a soft sand. And see if we can't get it in a good starting point. We'll put our little cloth back on here. There. Take this up. Grab our soft sand here. Put that down. And when we do the sand, I only spray the actual sanding pad or sanding paper. I don't spray the disc for that. So we're going to do another 20-second interval on this one. Again, if it's soft sand, you can do 20. If it's coarse, only do 10. Right? See where we stand. Take these two off. Oops. Again, you can see like all that white stuff in there. That's literally stuff that's being taken off the disc or off the protective coating of the disc. So we'll take our cloth over here. We'll just wipe that stuff down and off before we start our buff. All right, well, again, let's look at it. So you can see, again, there's definitely a bunch of swirlies in it. But the good thing is, I don't see those scratches. Like, you don't see anything outside of just circular swirlies. Because that's really what you're looking for. You want to see if any of those are erratic. Well, you have like one like right there that didn't come out. So we might have like one little scratch that remain, but I'm going to send it through the buff and polish and see what happens. Uh, but yeah, that's the best part about the sanding stage is that you can see where the disc is before you go into the buff. And if we would have did this stage and there was a lot of scratches left in it, then we could always jump up to a 10-second course, hit that, then follow that, then look at that, make sure that the scratches are gone, follow it back up with the soft sand, and then buff and polish. Anytime you go to course, even if it's from you doing a soft sand first, if you did a soft sand and it didn't work the way you want it, you can still see scratches. If you jump up to the course, you have to come back to the soft before you go into the buff, because the course is going to leave basically 600 grit scratches in the disc, and the soft sand is a 1200, and it's going to be able to take out those 600 grit, but it's going to leave its own like 1200 grit, so to speak, scratches or in scratches in the disc, which is all those swirlies you see. The buffing pad can take those out, but the buffing pad is not going to be able to remove scratches made by the course pad because they're going to be too aggressive. So that's why you have to follow that flow. Even if you start, like I said, on the soft and go back to the course, you have to come back to the soft before you introduce the buffing pad. So sorry, I know that's kind of long-winded, but that's just stuff that you have to make sure that you do in order to get the results you want, because it's a reason why these things go in a certain order. And we'll put that back up. We'll take off our soft sand there. We'll bring in our buffing pad here. Bring in our compound, quarter size amount, 3 o'clock. Then we'll actually get a disc. 1, 2, 3. Give a couple sprays. Put that down. And 1 minute. All right. Take out our yellow pad there. Get some of that little residue off. Starting to get a little warm, but nothing too bad. Bring in our polishing pad. Put that on. Our polished compound here. Again, quarter size, 3 o'clock. Bring in our water. 1, 2, 3. Close it down. And 1 minute. All right. The one thing I did forget to say is that these ones obviously have the purple backs. The purple back on the PS2 and the black back on the PS1. I did a video on the black back on the PS1s. They are kind of sticklers for showing swirls. So these are usually the ones people do have like the harder time with of getting a really good finish on the back. We'll see how this one turned out. But I, even myself, like I've definitely had my fights with these ones. Sometimes they just don't like to play ball. I don't know what it is. Y'all remember, we'll spray some of that on there. Let that sit for a little bit. Do its thing. So yeah, if any of you are had those fights before, don't feel bad. I think everyone has them when it comes to these discs. They just are what they are. Let's see. Try to get me a drier portion. We went through a couple of these. Okay. Grab this. All right. Try to make sure I didn't leave any on there. Sometimes, like I said, it can look like damage, but then you like do a wipe and you're like, oh no, it was just I didn't wipe that section. All right. So this one, you'll be able to see, definitely still got a little bit of damage up here at the top. This is one of those ones, like I said, it was in really rough shape. So if you like seen this, obviously, this is not like brand new condition, but you're talking like at least a good 90 to 95% of what the disc was brand new. So this one, I'd be perfectly fine with selling this disc because even though it does have like a little bit, it's still in really, really good condition. And normally I would sell this under good. So that's what I mean. Not all of them, you can see this is still the Oni game. Not all of them is going to look showroom quality when you're done. Now, if I wanted to go back and hit this again, I could. You could kind of maybe try to buff it for longer. Maybe you could even go through the sanding process all over again. But honestly, for me, that one in good quality. Oh shoot, some actually got on the front. Sometimes compound will sneak around to the front. But yeah, selling them in good quality, things like that, that's fine for me. Uh, if you want it always to be in like picture perfect condition, you could, like I said, go back and maybe start at a sand, or maybe you could buff it for long and do another buffing sequence into another polish. Maybe you could get out that, those couple little teeny minor scratches that's left. Personally, I don't like to do that. I don't like to chase the perfect fresh out the box look, because a lot of times when you are trying to get rid of those little minor imperfections, you end up running the risk of just ruining the disc rather than actually being able to use it anymore. So that's just something to keep in mind. Obviously, everybody's different. I'm gonna wipe this off up here, getting a little bit of product on there. But everybody's different on what they will and won't accept. So it's just kind of, at your discretion of what you want. But our last game is going to be NFL Street. Super fun sports game. It's probably one of the sports games that, no matter how old it is, it's still fun. Unlike other games, when they get old, the roster's pretty much gone. This one, another super rough game. And it definitely has like some really, like, you can actually, well, you won't be able to feel it, but I don't know if you can see it, but you can see that that's actually pitted. Now, this is a game that we're going to start at 600, definitely. We're going to start at all the way at the course. I do not know. Now, this game would not read. I don't know if this game is going to be playable at the end. Now, one thing to always note, when games have pitting like this, you don't know how deep it's going. Like, you might be able to make it look perfect. If I go 600, 1200, buff, polish, it might come out looking like a mirror finish. But if these pits have touched into the actual data layer of the disk, which is underneath this protective coating and underneath the front as well, because the data layer is actually sandwiched in between the top layer and the bottom layer. So that's why sometimes if like damage on the front is really bad, it can cut into the data layer and it still won't read, even though the bottom may look perfect. So if this is damaged, the actual data layer, it's not going to play. It's not going to work no matter how good we make it look. But we're going to see if we can get it to play, and we're also going to see how good we can make it look going through the entire process from coarse, soft, buffing to polish. Another game I want to show you, we'll sit Street right here. Give me 1 second. Right here we have Midnight Club. This is another scenario. You can see here clearly, you can see that perfect circle burnt into the disc, or literally it's etched into the disc from the laser mechanism on the PS2. This too is one of those ones where, yes, we could go coarse, we could go soft, we could go buff and polished, may look perfect, but if that etching touched into the data layer, it's not going to play. Matter of fact, we'll actually try this one. We'll try both. We'll try the game. What game was this again? Sorry, forgot. Street. And we'll try Midnight Club. We'll see if we can get both of these to work. Neither one of these will read as they are now. We'll see if we can save either one. But first, let's start with Street. We will take this out of here. Grab our course pad, which again is 600 grit. Take Street. Then up there. And put on our little thing. Oops. There. Again, it's sanding, so we only spray the pad. And it's coarse, so we only do 10 seconds. But we'll start with our 10. All right. Again, now this part, we're going to do some investigation to see how those pits look after 10 seconds. If it looks like we got some, got a little bit of headway on it, we might be able to go at it again. You can see basically she's cloudy as can be. That's how it's supposed to look after a course cycle. But you can see up there, try to show you see it up there. You can still see that there's still some slight pitting. Now I can't feel it like I used to, feel smooth, but you can see it's still there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with one more 10-second interval. We're going to go into our soft, and then we'll see what it looks like. Well, I'll show you again after the 10-second interval for the course, but try to see if we can walk it up a little bit. Maybe we can get away with removing the rest of that little pitting at the top. But again, it's just really how far that pitting has went. We'll reapply our water on just to the pad, and we'll give it another 10 seconds. All right. Let's see. Nope. So they're going to still be there. I'll show you. So it doesn't look like course is going to take those ones out. You can see this, if I can see it right up there. We took out the majority of it, but you can see it's still a little bit left there. But even though maybe if I kept running at 10 seconds, maybe I could get that little bit out, I think this would be better served from going through a soft sand, getting rid of all this, and then buff and polish. And I think we might actually get some good results on that little remaining spot. You don't want to keep going at coarse because coarse is pulling off. I mean, you can see the residuals right in here. You can see it's pulling a lot off the disc, a lot of the protective layer. So you don't want to just keep running at it with that 600 grit if possible, because doing that can actually just destroy the disc. So we'll try to wipe some of that off. You don't have to wipe in between the sanding stages if you don't want to. I just don't like to allow a lot of the I guess the shavings or whatever you want to call it from the 600 grit to get onto my 1200 grit pad, just because I mean I try to keep them as clean as possible. So like I said, this 600 is going to pull off a lot more than the 1200 will. So put our soft sand back down there, grab our water, spray our pad, make sure that's all nice and good, and we'll go 20 seconds with our soft sand. Okay. Take our soft sand out, put our buffing pad in, and then we'll take a look at our disc, because we got to wipe off those residuals before we go into the buff. All right, there, and you can see there you're getting still that cloudy, a lot of the swirlies. I mean, that's exactly how this disc should look between those two stages. Now you can see that we still have that damage right up there. Nowhere near as bad as it was. Still just like a little nick right up there though. But we're going to finish it out through the process. The rest of the disc actually looks like it's coming along like really good, to be honest. It's just that one problem area up here. But yeah, let's go ahead and buff it out, see what we get, polish it, and see the final results of that disc. That's still though, no matter how great it ends up looking, it's still going to be up in the air if that disc plays or not. All right, grab our cutting compound, quarter size at 3 o'clock. Since we're buffing, we hit our disc with the water, put it down, and 1 minute. Okay, take that off. We remove our buffing pad, bring in our finishing pad, put on our quarter size amount at 3 o'clock. Hit our disc with some water, and 1 more minute. All right, boom. Take this off, that out. Oops, in the middle. Take our disc out. Get our laser media. Sit on there for a second. You don't have to do this stage if you don't want to, or this little step. I do find it makes pulling the product off of the disc a lot easier, but it's not you don't have to do it, but it does make things a little easier. So it's up to you. All right. Take this. Try to make sure I gotta bump off any residual stuff. You'll see this looks really good, except for that one area. We still have the pitting. So you remember what the disc looked like. You remember. You can see that the majority of this disc is literally like peak perfection. That's what I mean by you can really bring back some horrible discs. Like you really can. But you can still see right up here that pitting. That was the trouble area. And that's still there. Now I don't know if this game is going to play or not. Because of that, anytime a 600 grit won't take that out, it is a good chance that it did damage the data layer. But you can see the rest of the disc is like basically immaculate. So that shows you just how good this machine is at just really bringing back really rough games, as long as they don't have pitting. Also, this laser etch circle we're about to try to save. The machine is really good at bringing back a lot of discs that are in just horrible condition. The rest, I mean, y'all seen what that disc looked like before. This was horrible. You would never know that disc looked like that. So here's our Midnight Club. This is the bonus disc of the video that I really didn't think I was going to do. Again, we have our perfectly etched circle. This one I don't even have to like show that much, but you can see like this disc is just destroyed. We're gonna go 600, 1200, buff and polish. We're probably gonna do at least 2 cycles, of course. We'll try to attack it like we did NBA Street. Hopefully we can get that etch out. The one hopeful thing I am is that I can't feel it. Yeah, I mean I have on gloves, so I can't feel it the way I could feel the pitting on NBA Street. So that's like my only area where I'm like kind of a little hopeful about, is that even though it does have the circle etched into it, doesn't feel like it actually like cut into the disc itself. All right, we'll take that off. Gotta move some of this around. Bring our course back. I know I'm kind of repeating a lot of this stuff, but I'm just trying to make sure that it's informative as possible. But again, we're sanding, so you only spray the pad with the water. And it's coarse, so we only do 10 seconds. All right. Take our stuff off. Take our disc off. Okay. See here? Very cloudy. But the good thing is, I really do not see that circle anymore. So that's good. That's a good start. That 1 10-second attack of the course seemed like it really got rid of a lot of that damage. So like I said, I didn't feel it. I couldn't pick it up with my fingernail. Anybody out there who's into automotive detailing, you understand what I mean by being able to pick up a scratch in your clear coat with your fingernail. Anytime you can do that, normally it's kind of too far gone, and they end up telling you you're gonna need paint. You're gonna need it repainted. But there's always people who can bring it back, but most time they try to just tell you you're gonna need it repainted if you can feel it or if you can catch it with your fingernail. Again, resurfacing discs and automotive detail work are very similar. So we're coming with our 1200 grit. Again, though, just because this is starting good and looking good and I don't see the circle does not mean that the damage hasn't already been done. Again, 1200 grit. We'll spray our pad with the water, not our disc because we're sanding. And we'll do this for 20 seconds. All right. Over there. Grab this. Wipe off that residue. Again, same situation, bunch of your swirlies, but that's what you're looking for. You're basically looking always to make sure that the damage you could see on the disc is not visible anymore, and that it's been completely replaced if you're starting at the 600 grit by like almost like a full just fog over the disc, and at the 1200 grit you're going to see, still going to see that fog, but you're going to see like a lot of like swirls as well. So if you see those, you didn't do anything wrong. That's exactly how it should look. All right, grab our yellow disc, or I mean our yellow disc, our yellow pad, which is our buffing pad. Quarter size amount of compound at 3 o'clock. We're buffing, so we spray our disc. Boop. And we'll let her go for a minute. All right. Take off our buffing pad. Bring in our polish pad. Again, don't have to wipe off between the buff and polish stage. Grab our polishing or finishing compound, a quarter size amount, 3 o'clock. Spray our disc. And 1 minute. All right. Our last disc of the videos, we'll turn that off. Take that out. Boom. That off. That sit for a second so it can lift up everything apparently. And take that off. If I can find a drier spot on here. Okay. Grab our microfiber over here. And okay. Okay. Oh, a little bit up there. All right. Trying to make it as good as possible. Sometimes you be wiping it off and you kind of leave little stuff behind. All right, as you can see, that we definitely cannot see our circle anymore. So that's good. You see there's a little bit like on these little corners. But again, I mean, you remember what this disc looked like. This was a disc that basically was going to the scrapyard. Comes out really good though. You definitely can't see that circle anymore. But again, we don't know if this is going to be a playable disc. Like I said, there's still a little bit of scratches along the edges here. But again, when you compare it to what it was, it came out really good. Still, I would say a strong, at least 90% of what this disc was brand new. So what we're going to do is now we're going to test all these discs. You can see still same Midnight Club. And for it to be a purple back, that's really great results. But we are going to go test these games, see how many we can get to play. I'm going to apologize for the lighting in the next room because it's not going to be the greatest. All right, we're over here at the test station. See, we have our games. We have our PlayStation 2 Slim here. First up, we're going to try out Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. Boom. Oh, okay. Pretty sure I got that closed right. Maybe I didn't. I don't think I did. Oh, oh, dang it. Oops. Over here hitting buttons and everything. Okay. That feels better. That's better. Yeah, that first one was bad. Oh, quick play though. That was a quick play. I'm not gonna linger too long on each game. I'm hoping this controller actually works. But basically just wanted to show that these games, which games would play. The ones I'm really concerned about are those last two, Street and Midnight Club. The other ones, I'm pretty positive they will all play. Yes, yes. Oh God, I remember grinding out the what you call them for this, the licenses. Oh man. Oh, you talking about a headache. This brings back memories though. Let's see if I can see a quick little cutscene. Ah, this was crazy back growing up. You see stuff like this, you just thought graphics were pretty much at the pinnacle. You're like, man, can't get better than this. Granted, it got way better. All right, so we'll leave that alone. But we'll go to our next one, which is going to be Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Oh man. Oh, just the sounds. Okay, sorry, I gotta stop. Oh, I love that game so much though. I remember racing in the there it is. I remember racing in the 24-hour races, the endurance races on that game. Oh man. And you had your roulette of like those 4 cars you could win. I remember winning the Indy 500 car, and just that car just absolutely breaks the game. But anyway, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. See if we can get this to play, and more importantly, we'll sit it right the first time. Ooh, another quick play. That's good. So far, 2 for 2. So far, 2 for 2. Yes, it's always going to tell me I have the memory card inserted. I have a memory card actually for this system around here somewhere. Insomniac. Oh man, these games are so good. I love Ratchet and Clank. All right, so we're 2 for 2. Take that up out of there. Boom. Next game up, GoldenEye Rogue Agent. This PS2 is probably like, what the heck is going on? There we go, 3 for 3. You love to see it. You love to see it. Boom. I don't know what it is, but why is it like PlayStation has like the most iconic, obviously besides Sega, has like the most iconic sounds for their consoles like coming on. I don't think you really got that with the PS3 though. I feel like the PS3 and the PS4 kind of lost that, but the PS1 and PS2 like they were very iconic. Maybe that was just kind of the I guess a product of the times back then. Where you had the Nintendo GameCube with the doom. So yeah, maybe it was just the style back then and kind of went away from it now. Hey, loaded up perfectly fine. Yes, I know we don't have a memory card. Every game's gonna tell me, dude, you don't have a memory card. I never actually played GoldenEye Rogue Agent. But I did play GoldenEye. Dang it, which was the name? I can't remember the name of the one on the PS2. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's actually really good. It's arguably to me could be better than the one on the 64. Challenge everything. That sounds super spooky. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yay. Okay. So this one works. We got a what is this? This three so far. So we're three of three. Oh, almost dropped the case. Boom. Next up is Oni. And then we get to our two games where that one's up in the air. If those both play, I will be shocked. Now, what I will say is for Street, because of the little pitting that was left, although very, very minor, even if the game reads, that game will always be. See, that's a game that I will never be able to sell because of the pitting, unless I sold it on like a Macari or something. But oh, the game worked, by the way. Unless I sold it on like a Macari or something and said, basic condition of the game and kind of the little caveat with it. Because with that pitting, you never really know what part of the game that area is for. So you could play NFL Street, you could play through hundreds of games. Then maybe you get into like some random tutorial mode one day and try to do a pass or something. And then all of a sudden that freezes every time. Because just so happened that spot was for the data for that one thing inside a tutorial where if you never played that, it would never freeze. So that's the caveat with, sometimes you might get a game from somebody and it freezes in like just a random spot. Most people selling games, myself included, we can't test the game from start to finish. We just can't. It's impossible. So sometimes you'll get three-fourths of the way through a game and then it freezes in a spot or something. Even though the game may look perfect, it might have had damage there that was damaged the actual data layer in that section. And even though it looks perfect on the back, it's just never going to get past that part. So that's just something to keep in mind. Some things are even out of, seller's control on these games. But we got us. No, I'm gonna let it load past this. I don't like to, or if I'm paying attention, I don't like to reset it while it's in the middle of a load. Wait, Bungie? Bungie worked on Bungie and Rockstar worked on this game. Holy crap. I'm gonna have to play this game and do a video on this. Not on this channel. This channel is for this stuff. Me and my buddies have a review channel. I'm not gonna plug it here because it's not cool. Not gonna do that. But we have a review channel that we review games on, and this is gonna be my game because that's just cool. I play a lot of Destiny, love a lot of Grand Theft Auto games, of course. So to see Bungie and Rockstar teamed up on a game, that's really cool. I had no idea that ever happened. All right. But that is 4 for 4, but we're going to sit you over here because you'll be needed. All right. NFL Street. Let's see if it reads. Yo, even the case was worked on poor NFL Street. It reads. It actually got past the screen. I've said this before in other videos, but you notice like the little blue ball wasn't swirling around. It's because the CMOS battery, the little like watch size battery inside here is dead. That's why that's not like moving around. That's a telltale sign that you need to replace the battery inside of them. Ooh, big. This was a special time in history when all this stuff was cool. Back in 2004. God, look at that graphics. Look at his face. Oh my gosh. Jesus Christ. What is this hand? It's like artificial intelligence hands. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so hilarious. Oh man. Well, we got it to start at least. Um, like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on these games, but it's cool. We actually got it to load based on what the game was looking like. God, their hands are horrendous. Wow. So we're actually, what was that? So that's 5 of 5 so far. 5 of 5. Wow. Jiminy Crickets. Why did I just say Jiminy Crickets? I have no idea. And our bonus disc of the video that I really did not even think we would be doing. It was just a good, it was a good like teaching point, and it became an actual part of the video. Midnight Club. Let's see. This game, I put a lot of hours in as well. This was back when Fast and the Furious first came out, and street racing was at its peak coolness back then. Another game by Rockstar. Had great music. One of the best ones of these was Midnight Club. I believe Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition. Back when obviously big rims, 20-inch rims was a cool thing, and spinners and all that stuff. Again, a very special time. Oh shoot, it actually worked. I was sitting there running my mouth. I didn't even realize. Damn, that played so fast. Wow. Wow, we got a perfect streak. That's actually these last two was up in the air because you don't never know what you're gonna get. Obviously, that's supposed to be like Dom's car, all Fast and the Furious. It's not. It is the. Is that RX-7? I couldn't even tell it. That's not an RX-7 though. Or I don't. I can't even tell with these graphics. But anyway, but yeah, Dub Edition was probably the best one of Midnight Club. Straight no chaser. Yeah, this was all branded as like the what was this game like? There was another game. Oh, Need for Speed. This was when Need for Speed went down to more street racing. Well, it was always street racing, but it was like more tuner esque, like Fast and Furious style. When you had Need for Speed, it wasn't Most Wanted. What was the first? Oh man, I can't think of the first Need for Speed game that really went down the Fast and the Furious lane. But Midnight Club was basically the competition to that. Ooh, midnight, weather clear, traffic, all that stuff you could do. Taxis. Oh, this is because I didn't, I haven't done anything. I could do a bueno, a magnifico. This was definitely Rockstar with their naming of their cars. Obviously, that's supposed to be like the truck Paul Walker had in the first Fast and the Furious. It's very much like the Ford Lightning truck. Let's make it orange. So we make it orange since this is gonna be the last video. I guess I can't make it orange. That's pretty close to orange, like the logo for this for Gaming Renewed. Let's see. We'll give you a little teeny bit of driving around. Oh God, I forgot loading. It's probably gonna be horrendous. But yeah, man. I mean, hopefully, this video helped everybody out, or just helps people out who, wanted to see kind of somebody go through various discs and just see like the thought process behind attacking different games with different levels of damage to them. We like I said, we had a great turnout because all the games ended up working, and I'll be honest with you that is not always the case. So if you get a game, especially a game like the last two we had, and it just you know they turn out they don't work at the end of it. Do not feel bad because mid X instead of FedEx. Do not feel bad because sometimes, man, that's just how it rolls. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm sorry it was a very long video. It was just a lot to show, and there's really no way I could make this shorter. But sometimes these long videos, albeit being boring, being boring, uh, hopefully they provide you some good context and a lot of help in your endeavors on using a JFJ in the future. Ooh, e-brake, baby. All right. Anyway, peace. We out.